Hi guys, it's Nick, and guess what? I'm back with another relaxing review. Surprise, surprise, but you didn't see that coming. So, I've got some feedback lately on my relaxing reviews to the tune of, hey Nick, you review an awful lot of keyboards. What's up with that? To which I reply, well, one, I like keyboards, so there's that. Two, they make great clicky sounds, I think, so there's that. But maybe more to the point, three, I started receiving keyboards from manufacturers. I do reviews of those keyboards. More manufacturers see those reviews and say, would you like to review our keyboards? And I say, yes, sure, bring them on. And so it becomes this kind of self-sustaining reaction situation, which snowballs into more and more keyboards. And the good news is that if you like keyboard reviews, then you're in luck. I've got way more keyboards to come, the never-ending mechanical keyboards. But when AUKEY recently reached out to me about reviewing their new Bluetooth speaker, I thought, well, that's kind of different. I haven't reviewed a Bluetooth speaker before, and it's not a keyboard, so sure, why the heck not, right? Some of you might remember that I've actually reviewed one of AUKEY's products before. It was their KMG3 mechanical keyboard. And I found it to my liking. I thought it was a very solid product. So I was happy to say, yeah, sure, send me your Bluetooth speaker and I'll take a look at it. I'll do a review with it. So that is what I'm doing here today. We are looking at AUKEY's SK-S1 portable Bluetooth speaker. This is a budget-oriented Bluetooth speaker. It is regularly priced at $50 on AUKEY's Amazon storefront, but I've seen it on sale for as low as $30, and as of the time of recording, it's priced at $35. So that $30 to $50 range seems to be what it occupies, but I've only really seen it at the lower end. So and if you watch this review and you like what the conclusion is, you like the product, I always like to remind you up front, of course, there is a link, a purchase link down in the video description that you can click through on. And if you just want to get through to the conclusion, to see the good stuff, to find out whether I like it or not, of course, timestamps also down in the video description. And my feelings won't be hurt if you go straight to the end. That's okay. I get it. We're busy people, right? So, anyway, let's take a closer look at AUKEY's new portable Bluetooth speaker. And here we have AUKEY's SK-S1 Bluetooth speaker in box. And just like their KMG3 mechanical keyboard that I reviewed some time ago, the SK-S1 speaker comes in a very plain and simple box. And this is something that I really like about AUKEY. Their packaging is simple and functional and to the point, and it looks good, I think. I think it looks clean, I guess. All that we have on the exterior is a picture of the product, the AUKEY branding, and over here a wireless portable speaker. The simplicity of it actually reminds me a lot of IKEA, like IKEA branding and packaging, don't you think? It's very much like that, actually, minus the weird names for the products. But as you can see, oh, there's a little bit more. Yeah, look at it. Go green with AUKEY. But nothing on the back. Once again, just the recycle logo and a little bit of information on the bottom here, but not much. Just information about AUKEY and the model up here, SK-S1. And I guess the serial number down there, but that is it. Simple, effective, to the point, recyclable, which I like. Okay, so let's open up this simple box and see what we have inside. So we have a similar situation on the inside. Simple, simple, simple. There we go. So this is the speaker itself. Comes packaged in this plastic bag. You can see that it's well protected in the box by this these sort of cardboard buffers, and it really is worth mentioning that there's no styrofoam or anything in here, so I personally really appreciate that the whole thing is just recyclable in the paper recycle. I dislike styrofoam in packaging a lot of the time because it's hard to recycle. So here is a 3.5 millimeter audio cable, stereo audio cable, an auxiliary cable, essentially, that you can use to plug in external devices that do not communicate using Bluetooth. So anything with an audio jack should be able to play through this speaker. Just not wirelessly, of course, but most devices, almost all devices these days, have Bluetooth built in, so nonetheless, it's a thoughtful inclusion. Here is the micro USB cable, which is for charging. It doesn't come with a wall charger, so there's no AC adapter included. You've got to charge it by plugging it in by USB to your PC or laptop. So USB-A on one end, micro USB on the other, where it plugs into the speaker. These cables are not super long. We can undo it here. I'd say it's about 24 inches, give or take. But that should be long enough to plug it in. We have AUKEY's warranty card, and this is something that AUKEY does very well, and it's something I've criticized about other products that I've reviewed here on Relaxing Reviews. Many times these direct from China products do not include information about their warranty. AUKEY, on the other hand, is very forthcoming with information, and this particular product comes with a 24-month, so that's a 2-year product warranty, and that is pretty darn good, I would say. Often you see 1-year warranties on similar products, so 2 years is really nice to see. And finally, the user manual. So let's put the box aside. And we'll take a very quick flip through the user manual. It's available in a bunch of languages: English, German, French, Spanish, Italian, and Chinese, by the looks of it. It has a diagram of the speaker, directions for charging, powering on and off, pairing, the auxiliary cable, and a variety of functions. Something nice about this speaker is that it can work for phone calls, so you can take and receive phone calls through the speaker. And over here it just has some specifications. And as you can see, perhaps one of the most important things, if you can see that, the printing's quite fine, but about 4 hours full charge time, 8 hours play time. So 8 hours of play time off a full charge should get you through most parties, I would think, or whatever you might need it for. And that's basically it there. Alright, let's look at the product itself. Alright. So, here we have the AUKEY SK-S1 Bluetooth speaker. And it is quite a looker, I must say. I think it looks really good. The grill is this fine metallic mesh, or maybe actually, I think it's plastic. Yeah, I think it's plastic, but it feels sturdy. And interestingly, that grill wraps all the way around on the back side as well. And the top is a kind of, it's brushed, I guess. It's a brushed aluminum finish. There, you can see the texture there. At least I'm assuming it's aluminum. It feels metallic, at least. Could be plastic. It's hard to tell, actually. Now that I'm touching it, it doesn't feel as cool as I would expect for metal, but it looks very convincing if it's not. This, I believe, is metal. This sort of blasted or anodized metal frame. I guess it's aluminum. It's hard to tell sometimes with these materials, but it feels cooler to the touch. What I will say is that the whole thing is very weighty. It's heavy and solid. This is, it feels good in hand. It's definitely got quite a bit of heft to it. And it doesn't feel like it has any like loose parts. There's no flex or wiggle whatsoever. There's no creaking. After the plastic, I can't get it to nothing. It feels solid. It feels like a tank. So let's just quickly look at the stuff on the top here. So we've got the AUKEY branding over here. We've got an indicator LED, which I suspect is for power and pairing and those kinds of things. And then over here in the center, we've got our controls. So it looks like we've got a answer call button. We've got a volume rocker, plus minus. We have a track back and next rocker there. And then we have a play pause button over here. And some of these buttons will probably pull double duty for instance, cycling through stored Bluetooth devices. But it's a simple control cluster there. The only thing I'm not crazy about with it is that it's glossy. It's chrome. And so if you're touching it with your fingers, which of course you are because they're buttons, I imagine that those will pick up fingerprints. They're so narrow that they probably won't show up much, but I could see them getting kind of mucky. So, personally, not a huge fan of the chrome buttons, but they look nice. I'll give them that. They look quite lovely. And they feel quite solid to the touch. They have a nice, definite, like well-defined click to them. Seems to be a theme with this speaker. You can see the edges are beveled, chamfered, I guess that is, and also finished in a glossy coat there, a glossy finish, which again is probably prone to picking up fingerprints, but in fact you can see it's already looking a little scuffed and fingerprinty just from me, I think, touching it here. Again, you're never going to notice unless you're like sticking your face right up against the speaker. No one looks at a Bluetooth speaker this close. I'm just special that way, but worth noting. Okay, coming around the back here, featureless, just the speaker grill, with the exception of a little bit of I/O up here. We've got our auxiliary cable plug, we've got our micro USB, and a power button right there. And that's it. Nothing else to talk about there. Moving around the bottom, we have, in fact, the whole bottom is a rubberized texture, sort of an anti-slip texture, but it also has 4 little foot nubbins, which are integrated into this big rubberized base, and then just some logos and things, standards and whatnot. And once again, that is it. It's just this sort of rounded plastic frame surrounding the bottom. The whole thing comes together nicely in these shades of silver and gray. So that is really all there is to see with the speaker. You can see what I mean when I say it feels solid, like it sounds solid. There's nothing hollow feeling about it. Aesthetically, I think this is lovely. I think it looks classy and reserved and clean, and I think it would blend in well in any, living room or den. I'm not sure if it comes in other colors. It would be nice to have a black option, perhaps, because a lot of people have black, stereo and audio AV equipment. But even if not, I think this is a really appealing looking Bluetooth speaker. And certainly it feels incredibly solid. Like I said, it's weighty and it's unyielding. There is no flex. It is a solid chunk of audio equipment. So, with all that out of the way, having looked at it, now we will do a little listening test. I'm going to go and listen to it on my own without you guys. And this is where a relaxing review gets a little bit difficult because, I'm going to listen to several kinds of music that may not be super relaxing. And also there's potential copyright issues with me playing, tracks on video. So I'm going to do that on my own time. But I will come back after that and I will play a couple of clips. I'm going to try playing some ASMR through this speaker just to hear what it sounds like. And I'll do that with you guys. And I'll discuss the audio performance and characteristics of the speaker with you guys when I do that. So I'm going to go give it a listen and I'll be back to talk about it. And we're back. So I've spent the last, half hour or so putting this little speaker through its paces. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is Bluetooth connectivity and reception and range. So the pairing process itself was relatively straightforward. However, it did end up taking me a couple of tries to get it to pair with my phone, and I'm not quite sure why. I've just got a typical Android phone, a new one, that should pair, first try, but my phone detected the speaker when it was in pairing mode initially, and then it tried to pair and disappeared off the pairing list, and it wouldn't detect it again for a few tries. After a few tries it did work out, and since then it's been just fine. No problems whatsoever, and it will repair without issue if it becomes unpaired. So I don't know what that was about. I don't know if it was on the speaker end or on the phone end, but Bluetooth as a technology is kind of flaky that way. And to be honest, I've never had any Bluetooth device that's worked completely flawlessly 100% of the time. So maybe that was just a fluke. Who knows? But it does seem to be working fine now. I have not had that issue since. In terms of the range, it seems pretty typical for Bluetooth 4, so 20 to 30 feet roughly. If you have line of sight, not a lot of stuff in between. As soon as I went into another room or moved behind a wall, things started to get a little bit choppy. But to be honest, that is the same with my much more expensive Bluetooth speaker. I have a Bose, or Bose, I think it's Bose, SoundLink Mini 3, I think it is, which is like a $200 Bluetooth speaker, and it's around the same size, also Bluetooth 4, and yeah, this is very comparable in terms of its reception and range. So nothing too surprising or out of the norm there. I will say that there were a few hiccups in normal playback, even when I was within 10 to 20 feet of the speaker, we'll say, sort of sitting on the other side of the room in direct line of sight. They weren't frequent, but there were a couple. When I got closer and was sitting, with my phone next to the speaker, they cleared up and there were no such hiccups. So if you can keep your phone close to the speaker, it's not a problem. But if you're going to be, all the way across a room, you might get a few hiccups. Just a fair warning. As you can see, I've got the speaker on. That's what the blue LED is indicating here. And it's paired with my phone right now. And we will listen to something in just a moment. But I wanted to talk a bit about sound quality. I'm not going to be playing a bunch of songs right now, as I mentioned, because A, probably not that relaxing. B, potential copyright issues and concerns, claims on my videos. I just don't want to have to deal with that. But anyway, I did listen to a variety of music with this speaker at a variety of volumes. I listened to some metal, which is what I listen to a lot of personally, but also some rock, some classical music and soundtrack music, which I listen to a lot. I listen to some electronic and dance and trance, and I also listen to a bit of hip-hop, which is not something that I myself normally listen to, but it's important to test out a range of audio types and sources. So overall, this thing has really exceptional sound quality for its size and price point, especially. The thing that this speaker excels at in particular is clarity. This speaker gets loud and it remains clear right through the top of its volume range. I didn't notice any distortion of any kind, which is fantastic. So overall, exceptional clarity in the highs and mids, especially at high volumes, which is really great to see. Especially too when you are listening on axis, so when you're directly in front of the speaker. And in fact, in that listening scenario, it was almost a bit too bright. Like some of the very high trebles, like hi-hats and crash cymbals and things like that, came across as maybe a little bit harsh. Not egregiously so, just a little bit. And again, this was at max volume. When I moved off axis, that was not a problem anymore. And everything was a bit muted, but certainly still perfectly audible and sounded, pretty good. The bass situation. This is advertised as a Bluetooth speaker with enhanced bass. And in my testing, I will say this wasn't really the case. The bass is present, certainly, and it has a pleasantly filled out low end, but some of the very lowest frequencies are certainly missing, and that is just a product of the size of this speaker. You can only pack so much bass performance into something that's, what is this, maybe 8 inches, 7 to 8 inches across and a couple inches thick. Compared to my Bose SoundLink Mini, it doesn't quite bring the ounce in the same way, but again, that's a slightly unfair comparison because the SoundLink Mini is like 5 or more times the price of this thing. But I will say that some tracks, especially if you're listening to lots of, dance or hip hop type music or rap or whatever, it's not going to have the bass, the fat bass that you might desire. And that's just how it is. It's not bad, and it's present. It's enough to provide a fairly balanced sound profile, but you're not going to be bumping to this thing. It's not going to shake the room at a party, that's for sure. Not going to blow you away. The sound separation, like the stereo separation, I thought was pretty good for a speaker of this size, and I would say it maybe is even better than my SoundLink Mini. So I thought it had a reasonably wide sounding sound stage for something of this size. It does get a little bit overwhelmed by complex tracks, especially at higher volumes. And like I said, I listen to a lot of metal, which often has a very thick mix, a very complex mix with lots going on. And lesser speakers just sort of present a wall of sound without much definition amongst the instruments, even if the mix itself is good. And this falls prey to that a little bit. It's not too bad, but at the highest volumes with really complex tracks with lots of loud instrumentals going on, the instruments did run together a little bit. They're still all perfectly audible, but you just lack that sense of separation amongst the different instruments. This is a real nitpick to pull out against a speaker in this price bracket, by the way. I certainly am not expecting miracles here. To that end, I thought it really did. It performed better, much better than I expected, considering the price point. It did especially well with classical music, like the brass was nice and bright and lively, the strings were smooth, the low end was present and well balanced. Vocals came out particularly well, so vocal performances really nice on here. Like I said, it excels at those mids and those highs. Rock and metal sounded pretty good, but like I mentioned, they lacked a bit of power, maybe a bit of punch, especially in that low end. And bass heavy music like dance music and hip hop music suffers a little bit from that lack of punch in the low end. You're just not going to get that deep, heavy bass that you might be looking for with those kinds of tracks, but it's certainly still serviceable for that kind of music. And across its volume range, like I said, it remains distortion free and sounds pretty darn good for the price that you'll pay for this little speaker. Now, there is one caveat that I think is important to mention, and your mileage may vary with this kind of thing, but there is some audible background hiss that you can hear sort of before tracks start or in quiet sections of tracks. And that hiss does not seem to be apparent on my Bose SoundLink. It's not terribly distracting, but it is certainly noticeable and audible, which is, for some people, maybe a problem, especially if you're listening to lots of quiet stuff. So, you've been forewarned. Not a deal breaker for me, but worth mentioning. So let's give this thing a little listen here, shall we? So this is a slightly odd test for me to be doing, just primarily because whatever comes out of the speaker here is not going to sound the same when it comes through your headphones or your speakers or whatever. And it's a part of why I don't really have an issue not playing all kinds of music for you guys, because the subjective listening experience on your end is not going to be representative of really what the speaker's putting out here anyway. But just for the sake of letting you guys hear something, I was going to play a couple of my my videos here. My ASMR stuff. And of course, normally I would recommend that you listen to this with headphones. You know, all ASMR, in my opinion, is much better with headphones. So it's kind of weird to play ASMR out of a Bluetooth speaker. Probably not what this is going to be used for, but nonetheless, that's what I'm going to do here, just for you guys. So I've got my my Hollow Knight video, which I put up not long ago, right here. So this is a whispering video. I'll let you guys hear. I'll run, but may as well, right? Look at all those coins, 15 old coins, or whatever they are. They make a coin-like sound, but really they're like, I don't know, something. So something that this game does that I'm noticing is the longer you hold down the jump button for, the further you jump, so you have very precise control over your jump distance, which is nice. So you heard some of my whispering there, and at the very end, after I paused the video, you actually got to hear a little bit of that hiss that I was talking about. Let's do this one more time. I'll play this. You also have a fair amount of air control in terms of what direction you're falling. And then I'm going to pause it, also, and you'll hear the residual hiss for a couple seconds. So far, the attack is nice and snappy too. You can hear that there. So that's what I was talking about. It's not terrible, but it's there. It's audible. So let's go now to one of my videos, perhaps another relaxing review, perhaps the Moto Speed CK103 review, where I am speaking softly. Okay. Skip ahead to some part where I'm talking. Archers go. That one's actually pretty good. I was impressed by its quality, and I was impressed by the features that it packed for the price. That was loud. And makes that noise when I'm going to be the volume is topped out. Another product provided by banggood.com. This time, a keyboard. The keyboard that I'm looking at today is called the Moto Speed CK103 RGB mechanical gaming keyboard, which is certainly a mouthful. It's fairly evident, descriptive kind of thing. This is a full-size 104 key mechanical keyboard. It's got full RGB backlighting, and this particular model that I'm reviewing today has Autemu blue mechanical switches. So there you have it. A little audio test, nothing extensive, and kind of weird because I'm playing my own voice back at you guys. But anyway, I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what you could expect, and I hope my description of the audio characteristics answers the questions you might have about how this thing will sound. Once again, overall, I would say exceptional highs and mids, great clarity, good power in those ranges, lacking a little bit of punch in the bass, but that's more or less to be expected in this form factor and at this price point especially. So altogether, quite pleasantly surprised and impressed with the audio that this little speaker manages to put out. So let's reconvene at the conclusion, where I'll summarize my thoughts about this speaker and let you guys know what I particularly liked and didn't like quite so much. And here we are at the conclusion. Now, before I summarize my points about this product, I just want to quickly point out, after having listened back to the recording of that little audio test we just did, the hiss that I was talking about actually comes through very strongly in the recording. The microphones pick up that particular frequency much better than I expected them to. And honestly, in the recording, it is much more distracting than it is in real life. And that's especially the case because I had the speaker volume turned all the way up, therefore maximizing that hiss, and I had the Bluetooth input, like the audio input on my phone, turned quite a ways down, which is actually kind of a worst case listening scenario with that speaker. What you really want to do is turn your Bluetooth output up nice and high, keep the speaker volume as low as possible to maximize your signal to noise ratio. So if any of you were listening to that little clip that we just had there and thinking, man, this sounds like trash, like I can really hear that hiss, it's not nearly so evident or distracting in actual usage. And as you also listen at louder volumes, the hiss, the audio becomes louder relative to that background hiss. So in actual practice, like loud listening, I really barely noticed it, you know. So I just wanted to make that really clear because I didn't want to give this thing short shrift. I didn't want to be unfair about it. And now, with that out of the way, it's time for my traditional point-by-point summary of the good stuff, the things I liked about AUKEY's SK-S1 Bluetooth speaker. So the first thing is that clean packaging. I really like it. It's simple, it's effective, to the point, and recyclable, which I really appreciate. The second thing is that included auxiliary cable. It's really not necessary or even expected, especially at this price point. So it was really nice to see that AUKEY included that little pack-in with the speaker. The third thing that I really enjoyed about this speaker was its lovely aesthetics. I think this speaker looks like classy and elegant, and I think it would fit in most living rooms, or like I said, you know, dens, or even outside. It's not waterproof or weatherproof or anything like that, but it would certainly look nice, you know, sitting on a veranda or something if you're having a barbecue or whatever. So lovely, elegant aesthetics. Going hand in hand with those nice aesthetics is its incredibly solid build quality. This thing is built like a tank. It is like a brick of audio gear. And there was no sense of like hollowness or cheapness about it. Honestly, this product looks and feels like a much more expensive product. This wouldn't be much of a speaker review if I didn't say anything about the audio quality. And on the plus side, this speaker has really clean, clear, pleasant sounding highs and mids. The audio overall is a little bit mid-forward, but even at maximum volume, it never sounded distorted. The worst I can say about those frequencies is that if you're standing right on axis, sometimes the trebles are just a wee bit harsh, a wee bit abrasive, but really for its form factor and in this price range, really impressed with the overall audio performance, and especially those clear mids and highs. I also really appreciate that this product comes with a 2-year warranty. Honestly, I was pleasantly surprised. I was expecting the typical 1-year warranty, but evidently AUKEY feels quite confident about standing behind their product, and having tested it out and felt the quality of that build and just the solidity of that product, I think they're right in doing so. So 2-year warranty is really nice to see. And finally, I am really pleased by the price of this speaker. Throughout this review, I've been comparing it to my Bose SoundLink Mini, which is a speaker that is many, many times more expensive than AUKEY's SK-S1 speaker, and it compares quite favorably in most cases. You know, like I said, I was really overall quite impressed with this little speaker, and for the like 30 to 50 US dollars that it's often available for, I think that it is exceptionally good value. Alright, now for the stuff that I wasn't quite so crazy about, the less good stuff. You've heard this all already, so we can go through this pretty quick. But first thing was, there were some Bluetooth hiccups, especially when it came to occluding like line of sight to the speaker. Started to get a bit choppy, and even just moving to the far side of the room, it would occasionally drop signal for a second or something like that. This is kind of typical of a lot of Bluetooth devices, but nonetheless, it was something that I wasn't super thrilled about with this speaker. Also, wasn't terribly thrilled by the lack of deep bass, so kind of mediocre bass, I guess is what I'd call that. It was, like I said, present and certainly got the job done, but it just felt like there was a little bit missing at the low end. Somewhat a restriction of the form factor, and I get that, but it just would have been nice to have just a wee bit more oomph at the bottom end. And finally, that hiss that you heard in the sound sample testing there, it's not a huge issue unless you're really bothered by that kind of thing, and at normal like room scale listening volumes, it's probably not gonna bother you, but it was there, it was audible. It's not something that I hear on my Bose SoundLink Mini, and so it's something that I just wasn't crazy about with this speaker. And that will do it for another relaxing review. My overall impression of AUKEY's new Bluetooth speaker was that it feels and sounds and looks much more expensive than it actually is. And if you can snag it at that 30 US dollar price point, it is an absolute steal. Even at the $35 that it's currently at, I think that is a really competitive price for what is all around a very solid Bluetooth speaker. Special thanks to AUKEY, of course, for providing the review sample that we looked at here today. If you'd like to purchase one of these for yourself, there is, of course, a link down in the video description, as always. Thank you to all of you for watching today. I hope you found this review informative. I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you all back here next time for another relaxing review. Bye for now.